Since I uncovered the secret of the fake young master's points enhancement system, he has been engulfed in anxiety, fearing I might score a mere 0. Consequently, he enlisted my parents to persuade me to refrain from neglecting my studies for the upcoming college entrance examination. I inquired of my parents why I should gratuitously grant him 50 points. My father's gaze turned grave as he replied, Mingli must use this examination to validate his worth, liberating himself from the demeaning label of foster child. I nodded in silence, choosing not to voice my thoughts. Very well, I shall bestow upon him those 50 points. I will strive for a score of 720, and then we shall see how this prodigy, capable of achieving 770 points, ultimately fares. 1. Mingfei, your younger brother has been ridiculed since childhood by outsiders, branded as the false young master of the Zhou family. He requires this upcoming college entrance examination to validate himself and liberate himself from the shadows of inferiority. You are universally recognized as an academic prodigy at school, and moreover, you are the esteemed heir of the Zhou family. It is incumbent upon you to exhibit some grace and extend a helping hand to your brother. When father advised me not to squander my efforts in this examination, my heart tightened abruptly, and I fell into a long silence. I was acutely aware that it was my non-biological brother, Zhou Mingli, who had brought our parents here. Ever since I uncovered Zhou Mingli's secret, he has been consumed with anxiety, fearing I might submit a blank exam paper. I am the top student in the school, fully capable of ruining his prospects and then retaking the exam. Next year, I could still secure a place in a prestigious university. However, Zhou Mingli does not possess that luxury. Even gaining admission to a vocational college is a strenuous task for him, and this year's examination is his sole opportunity for redemption. My son, why must you squander your own time as a form of punishment for him? Focus on your studies this year, and it would be a remarkable tale for both of you to gain admission to Tsinghua and Peking University together. Noticing my silence, mother gently interjected, a loving smile gracing her lips. Yet, to me, that smile bore an ironic sting, and my heart ached. They say maternal love is profound, yet hers has strayed from its intended path. Throughout my life, Zhou Mingli has always been the favored one, simply because he was the childhood husband adopted by my late sister, who had a kind heart. After my sister's passing, our parents' guilt manifested as indulgence towards him, while their biological son, became mere background. I confronted my parents directly. Have you ever regarded me as your true son? Why must I so generously grant him an additional 50 points? A flicker of impatience crossed my father's eyes. Mingli's situation is dire, and your assistance is but a trivial favor. He will repay you in the future. Do not act out of spite. What will outsiders think of the Zhou family? Mother chimed in supportively. It appeared I had been overly naive, as I had fantasized that my earlier inquiries might evoke a sense of guilt or remorse in them. Yet, there was none. Only disappointment lingered in their eyes, stemming from my refusal to aid their cherished son. A self-deprecating smile emerged on my lips, while my heart throbbed painfully. As for their claims of Zhou Mingli repaying me, that is utterly impossible. He would only repay kindness with malice. In middle school, when he was bullied by classmates, I was the one who shielded him, yet rather than gratitude, he sowed discord between me and my peers, maligning me before teachers and our parents. Sensing my resentment, my parents exchanged glances, their expressions shifting, and sighed deeply. Mingfei, we merely wish for you to perform well. You can score 690 points, and there is no need to sulk and score 0. Indeed, if you were to score 0, where would that leave the Zhou family's reputation? You are on the brink of adulthood and should exhibit some understanding. Do not act out of spite. Moreover, assisting Mingli is merely a small effort. Why resist it? Yes, aiding Zhou Mingli is hardly a monumental task. I only need to perform normally. If I score 690 and he scores 740, we would set a new record for raw scores in our province's college entrance examination. He would become a sensational national star, the top scholar, and his life would soar to unprecedented heights, freeing him from the shackles of his past, which would instead serve as a powerful tool for garnering alliances. I suddenly felt an overwhelming fatigue. This life was utterly devoid of meaning. Over the years, I had tolerated him for my parents' sake. Yet he had only become more audacious. My parents turned a blind eye, constantly urging me to embody the magnanimity of the Zhou family's heir. But I am their child too. Why must I be the one to compromise? Now, they expect me to be the stepping stone for Zhou Mingli. Refusing to engage further with my parents, I turned and walked away. My father's brow furrowed, and in a stern tone he demanded, "Mingli, did you truly heed my words? Do not act out of spite." I continued walking, uninterested in his admonishment. His voice shifted from stern to icy. "If you refuse, then the Zhou family will have no son like you." I finally halted. At that moment, my heart no longer felt constricted. Instead, I experienced an inexplicable sense of relief and liberation. I turned my face slightly and nodded. "Fine, I will acquiesce to your wishes." Yet inwardly, I added, "I shall undoubtedly assist your beloved son in soaring to great heights, too." In truth, I never contemplated giving up. The college entrance examination is one of the most pivotal events in my life. How could I squander my youth by submitting a blank paper merely due to a worthless individual? Not only will I not give up, but I shall also seek to unearth my utmost potential, diligently tackling each question and striving to elevate my score, aiming for 720 points. Indeed, my limit is 720 points. In previous mock examinations, I deliberately underperformed, scoring 685 and 690 points. I have always been controlling my scores. A score of 690, while sufficient for Tsinghua and Peking University, is not exceptional enough. Given my current circumstances, I must make a remarkable impression and break free from my parents' control. A score of 720 not only ensures admission to Tsinghua and Peking University, but also sets a new record for college entrance examination scores in our province, making me the provincial top scholar. In prior years, the highest score achieved by a provincial top scholar was merely 718. As for Zhou Mingli, congratulations to him. He shall achieve an astonishing score of 770. With a total score of 750, I am eager to witness how he manages to handle that outcome. The scene will undoubtedly be captivating. I find myself almost impatiently awaiting it. The following morning, I rose early and left home. After enjoying a hearty breakfast near the school, I entered the classroom to commence my studies. My mind was consumed with thoughts of potential exam questions, problem-solving methods, and meticulously calculating how to secure high marks. After self-study, I desired to step outside for some fresh air but was intercepted by Zhou Mingli. He approached with a cold steak in hand, his face adorned with an expression of contrition. "Brother, I am truly sorry. I did not anticipate that our parents would speak so harshly last night." Observing my demeanor, he placed the steak on my desk. "I brought you something to eat. Our parents were merely caught up in the moment. Please do not take it to heart." I regarded him with indifference. Even if his expression was sincere, his tightly pressed lips could not conceal the glimmer of triumph in his eyes. He was reveling in delight, convinced that I had capitulated to our parents' pressure, and he was certain I would not dare confront him in front of the class, for it could easily be misconstrued as me succumbing to pre-exam stress. Very well, I accepted the steak. I then picked it up and casually discarded it into the trash bin. Ignoring Zhou Mingli's dismayed expression, I departed the classroom. At that moment, our homeroom teacher unexpectedly entered. Upon arrival, he immediately noticed Zhou Mingli's distressed demeanor and my act of throwing the steak away. "What transpired?" the teacher inquired. Zhou Mingli feigned strength, quickly waving his hands. "It is nothing. I merely forgot to heat the steak for my brother after it got cold. It is entirely my fault for being careless. I apologize for the inconvenience, teacher." The teacher frowned upon hearing this, casting a serious gaze in my direction. "Is this true, classmate Zhou Mingfei?"
No, irraplia.
Maintaining a composed demeanor as I looked at the teacher. "I have been experiencing gastrointestinal discomfort recently. I no longer consume beef." With that, I excused myself under the pretext of needing to use the restroom, leaving behind only the teacher's comforting words directed at Zhou Mingli. I was utterly disgusted and resolved to find a close friend after school to act as a cover, seeking refuge elsewhere rather than returning home. Although Zhou Mingli would not interfere with my studies at this crucial moment, his repulsiveness was intolerable, threatening to undermine my resolve. After school, I made a brief stop at the mall to purchase some fresh clothes. As I reached for my card to pay, my gaze faltered. Holding the black card in my hand, I felt a wave of nostalgia for my late grandfather, for this card represented his dividend from a 15 share. He must have foreseen the unfolding of such circumstances and left me a contingency plan. Upon arriving at the hotel, I indulged in a relaxing shower, washing away the weariness that clung to me. Just as I was about to resume my studies, my phone began to vibrate. It was a call from my mother. It appears that my close friend has succumbed to the pressure and revealed the truth. I am not so naive as to reject the call. Instead, I chose to answer. "Mingli, Where are you? My mother's voice came through, laced with urgency. Oh, I'm staying at the hotel, I replied, nonchalantly flipping through my exercises. A change of environment is more conducive to improving my scores. Perhaps I can even help my brother achieve a perfect 750. The other end of the line fell into silence, and I knew my words had struck a chord with my mother. After a lengthy pause, she finally spoke. All right then, just remember to take care of yourself. If anything comes up, call me immediately. Do you want me to send a bodyguard? No need. The hotel is close to the school. I still have to study, I said, cutting off any further discussion before hanging up. Perhaps this was an unfilial act, but since they had opted for a false heir, they should brace themselves for the loss of their true son. For the next half-month, I was completely immersed in a sea of questions, endlessly practicing. Meanwhile, Zhou Mingli, during this time, felt as though I had been displaced and was overjoyed. Each day, he and his classmates would discuss where to go after the college entrance examination, and he even began to flirt publicly with the school's top student. Friends who were close to me warned that my false brother was getting a bit carried away. I paid it no mind. At this moment, nothing was more important than my scores. I was determined to secure a 720. Finally, the day of the examination arrived. Under the scorching summer sun, I poured my youthful sweat into the exam room, using my pen to carve out a new path for my future. My concentration was so intense that I didn't even notice Zhou Mingli was in the same examination hall, quietly observing me from the back row for 2 whole days. As I exited the exam room, he hurriedly caught up to me, a beaming smile on his face. Mingfei, you truly live up to the title of a top student, checking your answers over and over. It seems you're really determined not to let our parents down. His eyes sparkled with a self-satisfied gleam, no longer concealed. I scoffed inwardly. Was this all for that pair of parents who nearly devoured their own son? I was merely doing this for myself. Congratulations, I said curtly, intending to leave immediately, fearing I might burst into laughter. I was confident I could score 720, perhaps even a few points more. From this perspective, it seemed Zhou Mingli would achieve an astonishing 770. At that point, his so-called system would likely become a blemish in the annals of academia. The thought alone was ludicrous. Thus, I felt it necessary to congratulate him. You certainly should congratulate me, as I'm guaranteed a score of 740. Zhou Mingli chased after me, continuing to flaunt 740. A top scorer in the city, province, and even nationally. I will undoubtedly be the center of attention. I stifled a laugh, my shoulders shaking slightly. He assumed my reaction was one of anger, so he continued to tease. Of course, I must also congratulate myself for acquiring 5 of the Zhou family shares. I forgot to mention, my father personally signed it over to me the night before the exam. He grew more animated, but to avoid upsetting you and affecting your performance, I didn't let our parents announce it right away. It will be revealed tonight. Be sure to keep an eye out for the news. You truly are despicable. I shook my head, completely unaffected by Zhou Mingli's words, my mood still intact. After all, these matters were of no consequence to me. With the support of my grandfather's old shareholders, once I graduated, the Zhou Corporation would fall into my hands. My father had already alienated many of the old shareholders due to his decision to favor this adopted son. Aren't you angry? Zhou Mingli, seeing my calm demeanor, appeared somewhat displeased. Such pathetic individuals thrive on taking from others. Yet when faced with indifference, they feel discomfort. Why should I be angry? You are merely an adopted son of the Zhou family. My parents dote on you, but you will never be taken seriously, for you are but a child bride to the Zhou family. I retorted without hesitation. It's not as if I haven't spoken up. Zhou Mingli's expression froze, and he looked at me with a mix of rage and hatred. This struck a nerve. For over a decade, what he resented most was not his status as an adopted son but the stigma of being a child bride, a fate far more humiliating than being a son-in-law. Your tongue is sharp. I hope you can maintain that bravado when the scores are released. Zhou Mingli's expression darkened. Just wait, on the day the results come out. I will definitely surprise you. I was taken aback, puzzled by what he might concoct. With a scoff, I quickened my pace to distance myself from this loathsome character. Who would emerge victorious on results day remained to be seen. I did not take Zhou Mingli's words to heart, as I was certain his downfall was imminent. I eagerly anticipated the moment he would witness his scores and experience social death in front of the entire school. That evening, the official Zhou Corporation website released a statement. The chairman would be transferring 5 of the shares to Zhou Mingli as a reward. Zhou Mingli immediately shared this on his social media, even tagging me in the post. I paid it no mind, But the second-generation elites in our circle were astonished, inundating me with messages seeking clarification. I offered a few casual responses before turning my attention back to planning my future. Late into the night, my mother suddenly called me. It seemed she had just returned from celebrating Zhou Mingli's success and remembered her biological son. I answered, and her anxious voice came through. Mingfei, the college entrance examination is over. Why haven't you come home yet? Home? What home did I have now? The three of them were clearly living splendidly. Why should I subject myself to such torment? It was far better to relish my own life while awaiting the results. I won't be coming back, I replied, letting the words linger. A commotion erupted on the other end of the line, followed by a commanding male voice. Zhou Mingfei, there must be a limit to your antics. I know you are sulking over your brother receiving shares, but your mother and I merely want to provide him with some security. You have your grandfather's shares, don't you? Look at what you've become. To throw a tantrum over trivial matters and threaten to leave home. If this continues, you can forget about inheriting the Zhou Corporation, and don't expect to receive a single penny from me. Money? Inheriting the Zhou Corporation? I burst into laughter at the absurdity. They hadn't given me pocket money in over a year. Back when I had just entered my senior year, Zhou Mingli had insulted my grandfather in my presence. Unable to contain my anger, I had hit him, and he had promptly reported me to our parents. As punishment, they cut off my allowance, and it had never been reinstated since. Were it not for the shares my grandfather left me, I, a proud scion of the Zhou family, might very well have been begging on the streets. The thought of inheriting the Zhou Corporation was laughable. They were already attempting to use me as a stepping stone for that false heir. It was entirely possible they would find ways to strip me of all my shares and hand them over to that little schemer, Zhou Mingli. I had completely given up hope for this family. Taking a moment to compose myself, I calmed my inner turmoil and spoke with indifference. You misunderstand. I'm not throwing a tantrum. I simply don't wish to disturb the happy life you three are leading. I wish you many descendants, each with 9 treasures and 18 heads. I made my intention to sever ties with them quite clear, my sarcasm palpable. After midnight marked my 18th birthday, I would no longer be under the guardianship of these heartless parents. I had had enough of this family. As I had anticipated, my father erupted in fury. Oh, so you've grown bold, threatening to sever ties with me. How could I have such a selfish and petty son? You've brought shame upon the Zhou family. Now get back here and apologize to me, your mother, and Mingli. Otherwise, you will never return to the Zhou home, and I will reclaim your shares. Go ahead and try, I shot back. My shares are protected by law. You have no right to seize them. Besides, the other old shareholders are my grandfather's comrades. Do you really believe they won T-band together to dismiss you once you overstep your bounds? Do not forget, the will of my grandfather clearly states that the 45 shares he entrusted to you are merely held in proxy for me. Upon my turning 22, they are to be returned to me without compensation, a fact you agreed to with your signature. I calmly laid bare the truth. Originally, my grandfather intended to transfer the shares directly to my father, but he perceived a troubling favoritism towards Zhou Mingli in my father, fearing that after his demise, there would be no one capable of restraining his son and preventing a farcical situation. Thus, he meticulously crafted this arrangement. At times, I find myself unable to suppress the thought of whether I am truly their biological child. The phone line remained silent, yet I could hear heavy breathing, indicating my father was quite enraged. Zhou Mingfei, I grant you one final opportunity. Return immediately. I still acknowledge you as my son otherwise. Huh? I laid everything bare, yet he continues to dwell in his own delusions, truly a sign of a muddled mind. What more could I say? I ended the call and blocked him. As midnight approached, I indulged in the cake I had purchased in advance. Ever since my sister's passing, I have postponed my birthday celebrations by half a month each year, celebrating alongside Zhou Mingli. It is indeed ironic when I reflect upon it. Taking advantage of the time before the college entrance examination results were released, I arranged an outing with several close friends. We first marveled at the splendid landscapes of our motherland and even visited a national landmark. As for Zhou Mingli and my parents, I paid them no mind, though my friends were rather concerned about it. As the results release date drew near, my best friend suddenly sent me a link to a family blogger's page. To my astonishment, the blogger featured my parents and Zhou Mingli. They had only posted 3 videos, yet their follower count soared to 1 million. The most popular video garnered over 5 million views, centered on the theme of parents estimating their son's scores. The video showcased a heartwarming scene of familial affection. Those unaware of the truth might genuinely believe they were a family, with the examination answers laid out on the table. During the estimation process, the trio engaged in lively interaction, radiating warmth and joy, all captured with impeccable filming techniques. It was evident that a professional team had been hired for the shooting and editing. Of course, the biggest draw, aside from my parents' identities, was Zhou Mingli's self-estimated score of 740. Such a score is astonishing in any context, attracting countless netizens' attention, and even some media outlets began seeking interviews. In the face of skepticism, he pounded his chest, assuring everyone that 740 was merely the minimum estimate, claiming it could be even higher, and boldly invited various media to conduct live broadcasts on the results release day to witness the birth of the provincial top scorer. Clearly, Zhou Mingli was desperate for a resurgence. With my parents' backing, he eagerly began to generate hype. Once his examination results were revealed, they would undoubtedly shock the nation, propelling him to instant fame. I watched this farce with a cold smile, eagerly awaiting the day he would plummet into the abyss. Finally, the day of the examination results arrived. Coincidentally, the school had scheduled graduation photos on this day, so everyone who could attend made their way to school. As soon as the scores were released, we began taking pictures. When I arrived at the school, it was abuzz with activity. I could even see numerous reporters flocking to the premises. I knew they had come primarily to cover Zhou Mingli. At this point, he had seemingly transformed into the most prominent internet celebrity among examination candidates in the city. Who else would they interview? However, Zhou Mingli was nowhere to be seen, causing an inexplicable sense of unease to wash over me. I felt as if something ominous was about to unfold. Lost in my thoughts, I was suddenly jolted by a commotion outside the classroom. Turning my head, I spotted Zhou Mingli entering, but his complexion was far from good. He appeared utterly exhausted, his expression resembling that of someone who had suffered a grave injustice. The reporters, seeing the once vibrant youth now in such a state, rushed toward him in droves. Zhou Mingli was clad in a loose t-shirt, and as the media approached, he revealed visible old scars on his body. This revelation ignited a frenzy of speculation among everyone present, including our classmates. I apologize for monopolizing everyone's attention. Today was meant to be a joyful occasion, as my examination results have been released. Zhou Mingli's eyes glistened with tears as he choked back sobs, taking a moment to compose himself before continuing. However, the pressure I have faced over the past few days has been immense. It's not the fear of misestimating my scores that troubles me, but rather the relentless nightmares that have haunted me, dreams of the very person who once bullied me. My entire middle school experience was marred by his torment, enduring insults, physical assaults, and even being burned with cigarette butts, held down and trampled. Tears streamed down his face, silencing the crowd as they awaited his further revelations. Many might wonder how a sheltered child like me, raised in the Zhou household, could have been bullied. But therein lies the crux of the issue, for that very person was my brother, Zhou Mingfei. Had it not been for my adoptive parents' unwavering protection, I might not have survived to this day. After we entered high school, he transformed, ceasing his bullying and becoming the envy of all as the top student in our grade. Yet even now, the sight of him fills me with dread, sparking an overwhelming desire to flee. This has been a shadow that has lingered over me for far too long, and today, with everyone's attention on me, I intend to expose him. Zhou Mingli gritted his teeth, as if summoning tremendous resolve, his reddened eyes fixed intently on the camera. I want to say this, Zhou Mingfei. I am no longer afraid of you. I will surely gain admission to Tsinghua University, and the pain you inflicted upon me through bullying will serve as the stepping stone for my ascent. I stood there petrified. I am the bully? What of my parents? Are they truly allowing Zhou Mingli to maliciously slander me? The classroom erupted in shock. All eyes turned toward me with a mixture of disbelief and scrutiny. Even the reporters and media personnel gasped, directing their cameras toward me. In that moment, clarity dawned on me. Zhou Mingli was intent on ruining me. He was now the center of attention, a top examination candidate with an estimated score of 740. Should news of the bullying spread, the consequences for me would extend far beyond mere public condemnation. We live in an age of information overload, where even a whisper of a baseless rumor can ruin lives, let alone the label of bully attached to me. I had grossly underestimated Zhou Mingli's cunning. What chilled me further was my parents' choice to turn a blind eye to his antics. Were they hoping to leverage this situation to seize the shares I held? Before I could ponder this further, A plastic bottle was hurled in my direction. It struck my forehead, causing it to swell instantly. I glanced over to see a classmate from the neighboring class who had thrown it. A few classmates who had been friendly with me rose in indignation, rushing to shield me, but many others, misled by rumors, began hurling objects at me, and chaos ensued. Meanwhile, Zhou Mingli, the instigator, continued to lie, fanning the flames amidst the reporters surrounding him. Had I not maintained good relations with my classmates, the situation might have escalated beyond mere object throwing. Fortunately, school officials arrived promptly to restore order, dispersing the agitated students back to their respective classes. Once calm was restored, the school officials announced that the examination scores would be released in 5 minutes, urging everyone not to let the commotion interfere with the results. The remaining journalists fell silent. I fixed my gaze on Zhou Mingli as he entered the classroom, the very student who had been unceremoniously placed in our class through his parents' connections, now resorting to cheating. He is now fabricating tales of me bullying him, an epitome of shamelessness. If anyone is a bully, it is he who has tormented me. He ignored everyone, slumping over his desk in apparent exhaustion, looking pitiful. Witnessing his display, I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. He truly deserves an award for his performance. The film festival owes him a little golden statuette. However, I am acutely aware that with Zhou Mingli's temperament, he would certainly not let this matter rest. It is highly probable that he would enlist my parents as allies or even strike at me when I am vulnerable. No, I must prepare for all eventualities and seek out a confidant. I retrieved my phone and sent a message to Grandpa Su, the second largest shareholder of the Zhou Corporation. He is a cherished old comrade of my grandfather, holding significant esteem within both the company and the Zhou family. After exchanging messages with Grandpa Su, the moment of revelation finally arrived. It was time to check the scores. At this instant, no one was concerned about the feud between Zhou Mingli and me. Everyone eagerly opened their phones to check their results. Naturally, I was not about to lag behind. I entered my examination number to retrieve my score. As expected, I was marked as a blocked candidate. Such a status is reserved for only the top 50 in the province. The classroom erupted in exclamations. What? How did I only score 600? I had estimated 615. Xiaoming, be grateful. At least you can get into a 211 or 985 university. And what did you score? I humbly achieved 685. A score of 685 is a rare gem in our city. This classmate, deliberately inciting envy, immediately captured everyone's attention. Reporters and social media outlets were determined not to miss this opportunity, directing their cameras toward him. Some even quipped that these two students were akin to comedic skits and deserved an encore. Meanwhile, Zhou Mingli's demeanor transformed into one of radiant triumph. He did not check his own score. Instead, he cleared his throat and pointed at me. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to see the score of that bully first. Surely, the heavens will not allow such a person to gain admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. Zhou Mingli was still disparaging me as a bully, clearly intent on thrusting me into the spotlight of public scrutiny. Should I fail to gain admission to Tsinghua or Peking University, I would be subjected to ridicule and scorn from all. Conversely, if I succeeded, it would be perceived as a grave injustice, with netizens likely banding together to protest my acceptance. How malicious! I apologize for your disappointment, but my score remains concealed. I cannot see it at this moment, I retorted confidently, my eyes playfully fixed on the smug Zhou Mingli. Ha! Keep laughing, foolish boy. Soon enough, when your score is revealed, you will have cause to weep. The crowd gasped. Blocked? Does that mean the score is within the top 50 in the province? Zhou Mingli was elated, his entire body trembling with excitement. This implied that my score would be exceedingly high, and he, Zhou Mingli, would obtain a duplicate of my score, with an additional 50 points. Brother, you truly are remarkable. You were once a feared bully, and now you are a revered blocked candidate. It's genuinely enviable. Zhou Mingli feigned a melancholic sigh. I stifled my disgust and raised my hand to interrupt him. Stop your theatrics. Let us see your score now. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Zhou Mingli, especially those of the media. Each outlet trained their cameras on the day's most buzzworthy protagonist. Zhou Mingli reveled in the attention, unable to suppress a smug smile as he pulled out his phone and opened the score-checking interface. Everyone craned their necks to catch a glimpse. The reporters were practically itching to delve into the screen. After entering his examination number, Zhou Mingli's hand hovered over the search bar, radiating confidence as he surveyed the crowd. My score must surely be among the blocked. I must be the provincial top scorer. Hurry up. Even if it's blocked, we can still see it. We'll just take a picture of your screen. Some reporters, unable to contain their excitement, began to urge him on. Zhou Mingli, with a smug grin, finally tapped the search button. Yet, the screen flickered erratically, as if afflicted by a virus, flashing wildly. The onlookers were taken aback. Some impatient classmates scoffed. What a shoddy phone. It can't possibly be a genuine foldable model, can it? And with a screen glitch to boot? Zhou Mingli frowned at his device, tapping it in frustration. But the flashing persisted. Undeterred, he attempted to check again, and the screen continued its chaotic display. However, amidst the flickering, a shocking score materialized. 777. How is that possible? A nearby reporter gasped, stunned into silence. Another classmate who noticed the score jumped in disbelief. What? 777? That must be a national top score. But ISNT, the maximum score, only 750? The score lingered for barely 2 seconds, many unable to comprehend it. Yet those 2 exclamations were enough to create a stir. The classroom felt like a still frame, with school officials and journalists exchanging incredulous glances. A smile crept onto my lips. It seemed my score was 727. This would undoubtedly place me at the top nationwide and firmly establish me as the provincial champion, even setting a record for raw scores in our province. At that moment, Zhou Mingli was flustered. No, it must be that you all misread. It has to be. His words came out in a disjointed manner, finally jolting him from his delusions. If I truly scored 777, his life would be irreversibly shattered. Check again, a reporter exclaimed, excitement lacing their voice. Perhaps it was a mistake after all. After all, a score of 777 seemed utterly impossible. How could one not be thrilled? Zhou Mingli wiped the sweat from his brow and logged back into the interface to check again. But the screen continued its relentless flickering. I couldn't help but think that perhaps his scoring system was engaged in a battle against the National Examination Results System. One insisting on a score of 777, the other mocking, "Are you joking? The maximum is only 750. After a prolonged struggle, the flashing screen finally stabilized, but everyone stared wide-eyed, rendered speechless. The interface displayed the unmistakable 777, devoid of any additional points. Even the high-score concealment feature had vanished. Truly, the system was impressive. Reporters exchanged incredulous glances, their eyes wide with disbelief. Classmates looked at one another, some still processing the revelation. Zhou Mingli, however, was now drenched in sweat, gnashing his teeth as he pounded on his phone, muttering, "It's fake, it must be fake. It's surely a bug." He frantically scanned the crowd, and when his gaze fell on me, a dawning realization washed over him, draining the color from his face. "It's because you scored too high." The root of the problem lay with me. His eyes widened in horror, contorting his features into a mask of rage. "Zhou Mingfei, why did you have to score so high? You wretched person. Are you intent on ruining my life?" His fury had rendered him irrational, oblivious to the peculiar gazes surrounding him. The onlookers were no fools. They gleaned something from his words, though they remained baffled by the appearance of such an extraordinary score. Just as the scene threatened to descend into chaos, the principal suddenly emerged. He pushed through the crowd, animatedly rushing toward me. "Mingfei, come quickly. The admissions teams from Tsinghua and Peking University are here, waiting for you in my office." The principal's announcement instantly shifted everyone's attention. A throng of reporters encircled him. "May I ask how much Zhou Mingfei scored?" The principal beamed, unable to contain his joy. According to the admissions team, he scored 727. "Without a doubt, the provincial champion. I am the provincial champion." In an instant, countless gazes converged on me. The reporters, forsaking any concerns about Zhou Mingli's erroneous score or my alleged bullying, surged toward me en masse. The dynamics had shifted dramatically. I had become an overnight sensation, besieged by cameras. A vacuum formed around Zhou Mingli, his complexion pale and trembling, standing motionless in shock. By the time the principal and I finally navigated through the crowd and exited the classroom, the vice principal suddenly rushed over in a flurry. She cast a sweeping glance around the room and, upon spotting Zhou Mingli, beckoned him over. "Zhou Mingli, come here." Zhou Mingli's expression brightened at her words. "Has the admissions committee from Qingbei come to find me?" "No, it's a matter of grave importance. You must accompany me at once." No one was privy to the specifics of the incident. As I had to meet with the admissions committee, I ceased to pay attention to the troublemaker Zhou Mingli. By the time I had made my decision to attend Qingda and exited the principal's office, Grandpa Su was already waiting at the door. He gestured for me to first take photos with my classmates, and then spoke with me on the way. Inside the car, noticing my impatience, Grandpa Su began to recount what had transpired during my conversation with the admissions committee. As expected, Zhou Mingli had been taken away by the examination grading team. However, due to my prior call to Grandpa Su, the old gentleman had instructed a lawyer to download the defamatory livestream video Zhou Mingli had made about me and promptly reported it to the police. Currently, Zhou Mingli was at the police station, undergoing a joint interrogation by the grading team and the authorities. My parents, upon hearing the news, rushed to the police station, attempting to extricate their precious son. However, Zhou Mingli's bravado crumbled under the police's questioning, revealing his true colors and rendering him unable to pursue bail. Meanwhile, my parents were outside the police station, scrambling for connections to facilitate his release, but the situation looked dire. The deliberate defamation against me was straightforward to prove. He intended to ruin me to monopolize the status of the Zhou family heir. Yet, the grading team's situation was rather perplexing. When reviewing Zhou Mingli's exam paper, the score was evidently 270, while the system inexplicably displayed a ludicrous 777. Due to this anomaly, the grading team engaged the National Cybersecurity Technical Department to investigate potential hacking, but found nothing. Even more astonishing to both the police and the grading team was that, although Zhou Mingli seemed ready to confess the truth, he suddenly fell mute just as he was about to reveal crucial details. Upon hearing this, I devised a plan, suspecting it was a system limitation. But how had he communicated with my parents prior? Could it be that the system had suffered damage during its confrontation with the national grading system? I dismissed my wild speculations. As long as the truth about his slander against me was revealed, I could turn public opinion against him, ensuring he would never rise again, forever pinned to the pillar of shame. Soon enough, Grandpa Su and I arrived at the police station. My parents, who appeared as frantic as ants in a hot pot, spotted me immediately. My mother, her face etched with worry, grasped my hand. "Mingfei, your brother doesn't understand. Please tell the police you forgive him so he can come home." Upon hearing this, the last vestiges of familial hope within me shattered. Clearly, they remained oblivious to the reasons why Zhou Mingli could not be released. I found myself devoid of the desire to continue the conversation. "You two imbeciles." Grandpa Su, having alighted from the car with me, was unable to contain his fury and scolded my parents. Upon seeing Grandpa Su, my parents grew visibly flustered. "Don't call me uncle." Grandpa Su replied darkly, "You, as parents, neglect your own son being bullied, yet fret over a malicious adopted son. You truly disgrace the Zhou family." As my parents attempted to defend themselves, Grandpa Su raised a hand to interrupt. "First, we must resolve this matter. Afterwards, Zhou Qinghe, you will transfer your shares to Mingfei. You are no longer qualified to serve as chairman of the Zhou Corporation. Do not attempt any tricks. Do not force me to unite all the old shareholders to publicly dismiss you." With that, my father wilted like a frostbitten eggplant, not daring to utter a word in rebuttal. Grandpa Su said no more, leading me into the police station, with my parents following closely behind. In the monitoring room, I observed Zhou Mingli sitting alone in the interrogation room, his spirit seemingly drained. It was reported that the grading team and the police leadership had received calls from above, halting the interrogation. In truth, even if I had not come, the police would have reached out to me, as it concerned whether I would grant forgiveness. I firmly stated that I would not, but expressed a desire to speak with Zhou Mingli, hoping to coax out some clues. Just as my parents were about to protest, they were silenced by a fierce glare from Grandpa Su. Upon entering the interrogation room, Zhou Mingli's eyes sparkled with renewed vigor upon seeing me. He immediately began to weep as he apologized. "Brother, I was wrong.
I am sorry.
Please sign the forgiveness letter so I can be freed. I don't want to go to jail." I shook my head resolutely. He blinked away tears, sniffing, then leaned back, gazing at me with mockery. I was taken aback. His shift in demeanor was too abrupt. Was his earlier display merely an act? "Just teasing you. Did you really take me seriously?" Zhou Mingli scoffed. "I anticipated you wouldn't forgive me. After all, you are selfish and petty, just as our parents have described you." I narrowed my eyes. Zhou Mingli continued with his derision. "Whether you forgive me or not is irrelevant. I've inquired, and I have 1 week left until I reach adulthood. Thus, My punishment will be reduced to merely 10 days of detention, a fine of 500, and a public apology to you. How careless. My expression darkened as I glared at him. Zhou Mingli, however, was reveling in his triumph, mocking. Are you furious? You, Zhou Mingfei, are but a pitiful creature. Even if you win, what does it matter? Our parents still care about me most, don't they? What a slip. I feigned anger, gritting my teeth, hoping to elicit more from him. He fell right into my trap, blissfully unaware that my parents were watching from the monitoring room. In truth, I was thoroughly exasperated with that foolish couple. My father maintained a stern facade, while my mother seemed utterly oblivious, caring more for my adopted brother than for her own flesh and blood. I slammed my hand on the table. Shut up! Seeing my outburst only spurred Zhou Mingli further. And what of your long-deceased foolish sister? When your family went to donate to the orphanage, I merely whispered a few sweet nothings to her, and she blushed fiercely, insisting our parents adopt me. Ha ha ha! What a pity she was a short-lived fool. Otherwise, with her support, I would have long since kicked you out of the Zhou family. But it's all right now. You've been abandoned by our parents, and I will soon inherit the Zhou estate without needing to deal with your foolish sister. That was quite enough. My sister was the family's Achilles heel. She had tragically perished at the hands of a drunken driver when she was just 8. I instantly transformed my fury into a smile, casting a glance at the bewildered Zhou Mingli before standing up to leave. Hey, what are you laughing at? His voice called after me, but it was abruptly cut off as my parents appeared at the interrogation room door, their faces stormy and fixed on him. I paid them no mind and allowed them to argue. Just as I was about to depart with Grandpa Su, the grading team and police leadership arrived, announcing a decision that left me utterly astounded. Zhou Mingli will be released on bail to return home. I was taken aback. Not just me. Even Grandpa Su and my parents stood frozen in disbelief. However, no reasons were provided. The police chief merely instructed that before his release, he must record an apology video to me. As for his exam results, they would be declared null and void. I couldn't help but stifle a laugh. Yet Zhou Mingli, instead of rejoicing, transformed from elation to shock, and then to despondency. Perhaps the dramatic twists of the day had overwhelmed him, leaving him numb. All his painstaking efforts had ultimately dissolved into nothingness. However, one thing was certain. He had succeeded in creating history, albeit in a manner that stood in stark contrast to mine. I shot him a derisive glance and patted his shoulder in a mock show of comfort. Upon returning home, the atmosphere was palpably heavy. I sat beside Grandpa Su, watching my parents glare sullenly at Zhou Mingli, who was bowing his head in contrition. Eager to conclude this farce, Grandpa Su spoke directly. Zhou Qinghe, you must sign over your shares today. I do not wish for your inept parenting to continue jeopardizing Mingfei's future. Uncle Zhou glanced at the agreement, then turned to me before speaking with great difficulty. I told you not to call me uncle. You are unworthy.
Grandfather Su interjected,
insisting that today's matter must be resolved. If you truly care for your son, then sign the agreement. You and your spouse will still possess a 5% stake for your retirement. Otherwise, you shan't receive a single penny. Do not forget, Old Zhou's Hidden will explicitly states that should Mingfei encounter any blatant injustice, you will immediately forfeit everything. It was evident that he was a seasoned veteran, his commanding presence silencing my parents. However, after speaking, he noticed Zhou Mingli's resentful and avaricious gaze directed at me, prompting a disdainful scoff from the elder. Zhou Mingli, curb your ambitions. We are currently addressing the affairs of the Zhou family. Do you believe you can evade responsibility? Prepare to face the scorn of the entire nation. He continued, furthermore, based on my understanding of the authorities, your sudden release was not without consequence. Enjoy this fleeting time while you can. Everyone in the living room turned their attention to Grandfather Su, seemingly seeking insight into his revelations. Yet, he remained silent, merely gesturing for my father to sign. After a moment's hesitation, my father complied. Grandfather Su seized the agreement, ready to submit it to the corporate legal team. Mingfei, the process will be effective tomorrow. Pack your belongings, and tonight you shall stay at Grandfather Su's residence. Tomorrow, he will purchase you a new home as a gift for your outstanding performance in the college entrance examination. I eagerly acquiesced, escorting Grandfather Su to his car. As I watched him depart, I disregarded the attempts of my parents to engage me in conversation. I ascended the stairs, gathering my essential belongings. I dismissed clothing, focusing instead on items of personal significance, such as the gifts my grandfather had once bestowed upon me and photographs of my sister. Faintly, I heard Zhou Mingli's cries of desperation and my parents harshly reprimanding him, claiming they had reclaimed all that they had given him. 10 minutes later, I returned to the living room, dragging a suitcase behind me. My parents fell silent upon seeing me, their expressions a mixture of anxiety and regret, akin to that of a child caught in wrongdoing. I cast one last glance at them, uttering not a word, and turned to leave. Though a pang of sorrow tugged at my heart, it was eclipsed by a profound sense of relief and liberation. Mingfei, wait! My mother rushed forward, grasping my arm. It was my fault. I do not seek your forgiveness, but could you grant me an opportunity to make amends? Yes, son, your mother and I realize our mistakes. Please, allow us a chance to rectify them, my father implored, his gaze filled with remorse. A silence enveloped us, both awaiting my response. I glanced at Zhou Mingli, who knelt nearby, too fearful to rise. No need, I decisively rejected their pleas. My parents' faces drained of color, nearly faltering under the weight of their despair. As I approached the doorbell rang. I opened the door, intending to let the visitor in while making my exit, but I was taken aback by the sight before me. Dressed in black suits, their expressions stern and reminiscent of characters from a film, I felt an inkling of foreboding. Before I could voice my thoughts, my parents hurriedly caught up to me. One of the men in black produced identification. We are here on orders to escort Zhou Mingfei. Please cooperate. Such official words. Yet my attention was riveted to the emblem on the identification. Research Institute 749. This signified that the matter concerning Zhou Mingfei's binding system had been classified as a supernatural event. Grandfather Su's extensive experience had proven invaluable. He had spoken the truth. Feeling a surge of satisfaction, I signed the confidentiality agreement presented by the agents and exited my home. As I closed the door behind me, I heard my mother sobbing, desperately attempting to retain me, uttering apologies. I also caught Zhou Mingli's anguished cries, pleading for mercy as he faced capture. My heart remained tranquil. I had long resolved that should I choose to embrace the false identity of a young master, I must prepare for the loss of my true son. Gazing at the slanting rays of the setting sun, I felt an unprecedented lightness of spirit, as all shadows were dispelled. Humming a cheerful tune, I stepped into the bright future that awaited me, embarking on the path that was rightfully mine. After Zhou Mingli's upheaval, I inadvertently transformed into an internet sensation. The dual identity of the provincial top scholar and the bully attracted a plethora of attention. Fortunately, the truth emerged, allowing me to shed the label of bully. However, my visibility only increased. Despite my lack of interest in the sudden fame, money was not a concern for me. My photographs circulated widely, revealing my identity as the scion of the Zhou family, and uncovering the corporate announcement that confirmed my position as the chairman of the Zhou Corporation. This revelation further propelled my notoriety, causing Zhou Corporation's stock to soar. With no alternative, I began sharing snippets of my daily life, treating it as a casual social media engagement to appease my enthusiastic followers. As for the accusations leveled against me by Zhou Mingli, they vanished from the internet, not due to a lack of interest, but because the traces had been meticulously erased. However, my parents faced considerable discontent. While the online community could not directly reprimand Zhou Mingli, they directed their ire toward my parents. Under mounting pressure, they soon relocated abroad, occasionally sending me messages of concern. As the university semester approached, I found the summer both fulfilling and productive. After spending 2 weeks with close friends, I began learning about corporate management and operations with the guidance of Grandfather Su and other stakeholders. Standing before the gates of Tsinghua University, I inhaled deeply. This was merely the beginning of my journey toward a promising future. I was determined to lead the corporation to greater heights and further horizons. For myself, and for those who genuinely cared for me, the end. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in our next story.